Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint Germain family. In today's video, we'll be discussing Warren Zaire Emery. Is he actually fully back, and the implications it will have on the Paris Saint Germain midfield going into the rest of the season? So, Warren Zaire Emery, is he actually back? Because his recent performances, and ever since the season has started, we're seeing an upward trajectory. He started off with baby steps until that Strasbourg man of the match performance as the number 6, as the captain, taking the Vitinha road. So we can now actually have a conversation and discussion. Is Warren Zaire Emery actually back? When taking a look at the stats right here on FBRF 2024, 2025 to 2025, 2026. Obviously, it's very early on, 2025, 2026, so not the biggest sample size. But we can see the improvement. First of all, in the attacking metrics. His expected assist goals, 0.20 compared to 0.06 from last season. Shot creating actions going up from 2.28 to 2.86. So we're already seeing a huge improvement in the offensive sector. But it's the midfield sector that is the biggest thing. Passes attempted, basically the same percentile-wise. Pass completion, again, the same. But those two are easy stuff. It's easy to pass the ball, and it's easy to have a high pass completion, especially at Paris Saint Germain. But looking at progressive passes, improving from 5.93 to 7.08. Progressive carries from 2.15 to 3.27. And we know that Warren Zaire Emery's biggest strength is his ball carrying. Successful take-ons, slight improvement. Touches in attacking penalty area, slight improvement. And progressive passes received, improvement as well, going from 4.04 to 4.63. His defensive numbers have been a little bit less, but obviously that can do with more of Paris Saint Germain having more of the possession, playing better, which means you have to tackle less, intercept the ball less, and improve, get the ball, win the ball back less of times. But we can already see a steady improvement for Warren Zaire Emery in his game. Data MB, which I don't like to use that much, but we can already see another improvement, a little bit in key passes, a little bit in progressive passes. His possession one was lower last year, but again, that can do more with the team. His carrying is a little bit plus as well. So we're seeing the baby step improvement from Warren Zaire Emery going in from last season until this season. But let's go in a little bit deeper into the stats comparisons. So right in front of us, we have FBRF comparing those stats per 90 and so on. We don't have to look at goals and assists and all of that. We can take a look. What's this? Shooting. Again, not Warren's game, nothing to look at here. So passes completed. He's completing more passes, which means he's more involved in the game so far this season. 72.5 compared to 64.7 so far this season. Progressive passing distance. His passes are being less back pass and sideway passes. They're actually progressing Paris Saint Germain through the pitch. His pass completion long range wise, he's attempting a little bit more, completing a little bit more, which is great to see. His short and mid range haven't really changed that much. As key passes, 1.67 compared to 0.96. Obviously, it can be a positional change. Maybe he's playing more higher up the pitch, but huge improvement there in key passes from Warren Zaire Emery. Passes into the final third goes from 5.07 to 7.71 for Warren Zaire Emery. Passes into the penalty area improved, and progressive passes, very slight improvement there from Warren Zaire Emery. Blocks has been improved as well, very good. Shot creating actions per 90. From 2.67 to 3.03 improvement from Warren Zaire Emery. Completed line ball passes that led to shot attempts going from 2.36 to 3.02. Looking at his defensive numbers, as we saw before, they're a little bit worse so far this season. So tackles, number of players tackled better last season. Tackles won last season. But his tackling percentage is higher this season. So you can see he's attempting 1.77 compared to 1.85 last season, but he's completing slightly more of them. Honestly, I couldn't care less about the defensive stats because that has more about the team, how they're playing and so on. But what I'm seeing is when Warren Zaire Emery has the ball at his feet, everything just looks better. Okay, so more touches per game, less touches in the defensive area, in defensive penalty area, less touches. More touches in the defensive third, mid-third, basically the same, and attacking third. Less, so he's playing a little bit deeper so far for Paris Saint Germain. Take-ons, I mean, very slight improvement there from Warren Zaire Emery. We like to. This is important though, because this is Warren's bread and butter, his carries. So we can see his carries from 49.7 to 57.4, already an improvement. Total carrying distance already improved from 2.70 to 3.46 for Warren Zaire Emery. Progressive distance going from 137 to 167. Progressive carries go from 2.19 to 2.92. Carries into the final third has actually regressed, but that's because he's playing more of a deeper role. Carries into the penalty area, though, has improved. So he's carrying the ball less into the final third, but still doing more into the penalty area. Love that from Warren Zaire Emery. Progressive passes received is also improved, which means that his teammates are wanting to find him more often, and Warren Zaire Emery is finding more, empty spaces to be found in, and even passes received. He's getting more playing time, performance. This doesn't really matter that much, but we can already see not the biggest improvement, but improvement in a lot of the ball position categories in Warren Zaire Emery. He's creating more, he's progressive more, he's carrying the ball more. All around better from Warren Zaire Emery. Now we'll actually take a look at his 3 lost games for Paris Saint Germain, a bit detailed, because they were really incredible performances. The first one right here is his recent one versus Stade de Brest. Warren Zaire Emery, 1 assist, obviously a beautiful assist, 2 chances created, 98 out of 103 accurate passes, 113 touches, just way more involved than he used to be before. 11 passes into the final third, 3 out of 4 accurate long balls, 2 recoveries, and 3 out of 4 ground duels won. We can just see Warren Zaire Emery is just more involved for Paris Saint Germain so far this season. 1 shot this game. We can even see the kilometers. He actually, I believe, ran the most versus Leverkusen in that UEFA Champions League game, if I'm correct. Or no, it was the Strasbourg game he ran the most. 1 chance created, 2 defensive contributions, number of sprints, 6 passes into the final third, 2 tackles, 6 recoveries, 2 out of 5 ground duels won. And then obviously the big one versus Strasbourg is man of the match performance, 2 chances created, 5 defensive contributions, 99 touches, 6 passes into the final third, 8 recoveries, drew pass 0 times, and 4 out of 9 ground duels won. We can already see a huge improvement from Warren Zaire Emery. And now we'll take a look at maybe why the improvements is happening. So for the people that don't know, Warren Zaire Emery was in a relationship with the Paris Saint Germain under-19 goalkeeper, I believe. I don't know exactly how long they were together, but at least 1 year, 1.5 years. And sometimes when I was criticizing Warren Zaire Emery's form, I brought up his relationship because, first of all, these kinds of relationships, girlfriend, boyfriend, early age as well, would never stick. So it's absolutely irrelevant to have these kinds of relationships. If Warren Zaire Emery got married at a young age, I wouldn't be complaining because that's a serious move. That's a professional move. But having a girlfriend is basically for comfortability, for stability. And I think it took off Warren Zaire Emery's motivation and hunger. And this happened, I believe, right after Warren Zaire Emery had his worst performance this season. Basically a blip on the improved pattern he's had this season, which was the Lille game. A little bit after, this came out from a French Warren Zaire Emery account posting that they've stopped following each other on Instagram. We haven't seen them any photos together, nothing. So it is confirmed that he has broken up with his girlfriend, or they have broken up. I don't know who initiated it. I hope it's Warren. Who initiated the breakup, because ever since then, he's been cooking even harder. I don't want to give myself a clap on the back, but yeah, it was right. It did affect his performances and his mentality, because now he looks to be absolutely back to his absolute best. We can take a look at this report that recently dropped as well from Le Parisien. João Neves and Fabio Ruiz will have the opportunity to regain their rhythm this week. The 2 players are expected to return on Wednesday in Lorient. For Zaire Emery, there's been behind-the-scenes work to unlock his potential and a period of self-reflection. He's managed to combine intensity in his runs, impact in duels, penetration with the ball at his feet, and quick breakaways. We're very well pleased with Warren's exceptional return. He's regained his confidence, his explosiveness, and his sly smile. We love him a lot, and sometimes we forget that he's only 19 and could still be playing in the youth league, explains someone from Parisian club's entourage. We're very pleased he has regained his confidence, his explosion. Yeah, it was all about confidence. It was all about confidence. Here, he's managed to combine intensity in his runs, They're trying to say he's improved upon his game or something. Obviously, there have been improvements in his game. He's not the same player he was 2 seasons ago. But the main reason is the confidence, because then everything else just looks better. And now we come to this question. Will the midfield battle for PSG reignited at Paris Saint Germain? It's going to be tough competition, but that's the reality of big clubs. Neves' return will do a lot of good, because for me, he's a very important player. Given the matches to be played, everyone will get their chance. Mayulu's progressing very well too. Between youth and experience, there will be competition. That's what needed for the team to keep growing, explains former midfielder Momo Sissoko. The final decision will be made by Luis Enrique in an increasingly competitive area of the pitch with various possibilities. Tanguy Lee, Desiree Doué, Seny Mayulu, Vitorino, Fabio Ruiz, João Neves, and Warren Zaire Emery. Here are all the minutes allocated to them so far. Kangin, Warren Zaire Emery, and Vitinha have been the most used midfielders for Paris Saint Germain so far this season, but that's obviously a lot due to Fabian Ruiz and João Neves being out for injuries. But let's take a little bit deeper into the midfield battle at Paris Saint Germain at the moment. So as we all know, this is Paris Saint Germain starting midfield. Vitinha as the number 6, João Neves is the box-to-box, and Fabian Ruiz is the offensive 8. And we know that Warren Zaire Emery has been tried out in the 6th position, not that many times, box to box, and even offensive 8 at sometimes. Vitinha has obviously been strictly used as a 6 recently, but in the beginning of the Luis Enrique tenure, Vitinha played as an offensive 8. João Neves has been tried out as the box to box and an offensive 8. I remember once he played as a 6, wasn't the best game. He was still good, but wasn't the best, João Neves-esque performance. So I'm unsure if Lucho is going to use him more there often. Fabio Ruiz, I would say only offensive 8. Could play in maybe a double pivot, a little bit deeper possession-wise, but I would say offensive 8 mostly for him. Sinema Yulu has been used as an offensive 8 and as a box-to-box. Obviously, Kangin, we've seen him as an offensive 8 and even as a 6, taking Vitinha's spot sometimes. And Desiree Doué, we've also seen him as the offensive 8 sometimes. So these are basically the players competing for the positions. For the number 6 spot, we've seen Warren Zaire Emery, we've seen Vitinha, and we've seen Kangin. I think that's what Luis Enrique is going to stay with. When it comes to the box-to-box, it's Warren Zaire Emery, Sinema Yulu, and João Neves. And as you can see, by all these midfielders, they are the 3 most physical ones, most enduring ones, because that's what you need for the box-to-box. A complete game, a complete arsenal. I think Desiree Doué, if he becomes really focused defensively, he could potentially even play the box-to-box role, just looking at the qualities he has, especially physically and athletically. And moving on to the offensive 8, we've seen Kangin, Fabian Ruiz, Sinema Yulu, Desiree Doué, João Neves, Vitinha, and Warren Zaire Emery all being tried out in the offensive 8 position. So that's where it's most competition. We also have to mention Desiree Doué, Sinema Yulu, and Kangin get a lot of minutes up in attack as well. So it's a little bit less competition than it actually looks like. But for me, this is going to be the midfield. Fabio Ruiz starts, João Neves starts, Vitinha starts 100%. I think Warren Zaire Emery will be competing with both Vitinha and João Neves. I don't know about competing, but he will be the backup for those 2 positions. And Sinema Yulu, I enjoy him a lot in the offensive 8 position. We could obviously see Kangin there. We could see Desiree Doué as well. Have I forgot someone? No, so we could see some other players, but this should be our midfield rotation. It should be Fabian, Vitinha, Neves as the starters, with Warren and Mayolo competing. And then depending on if they are allocated positions for the attackers, obviously now with Ousmane Dembélé, Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué back, it's going to be hard for Kangin to get minutes in the attack, so maybe we see Kangin more often in midfield. And maybe Luis Enrique plays the 4-man attack of Brady Barcola, Ousmane Dembélé, Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, and so he can play Desiree Doué up in the midfield. But it's really interesting, and I'm loving the competition we have in midfield. This is a great thing that Warren Zaire Emery is coming back to his form. Sinema Yulu is growing game by game, season by season. And Fabio Ruiz, Vitinha, João Neves, we obviously know about their level, and Kangin is a good squad player to have. It's looking really good at Paris Saint Germain. Very happy Warren Zaire Emery is back, and the competition will only make us stronger. That's been it from boy PS Gent. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, and as usual, allez Paris.